just a few reflections on what may be a deeper dimension of her life. There are students of hers who are here with us. I don't know, where are you? There we are. There we are. Hey, would y'all stand up so we can applaud y'all? Stand up. Allow me, if you will, to offer as a text the gospel that was read a few moments ago. These are the words of Jesus from Matthew 11. Jesus said, "Come to me. Come to me, all that are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." George Bernard Shaw once said, and I quote, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream things that never were and ask why not. Some folks see things as they are and in blind despair cry why. I dream things that never were and ask why not. Why not? A world where every child has an opportunity for an education. Why not? A world where all men and women are treated as brothers and sisters, one with another. Why not? A world where we are able to work through and heal all of our racial divisions and all of the divisions that divide us, even Republican and Democrat. Why not? Why not a world where we can learn to live together as brothers and sisters across our national boundaries? Why not a world where men and women can learn to lay down their swords and shields down by the riverside and study war no more? Why not? Some folks see things as they are and cry, why? Why? I dream things that never were and ask why not. I'm a follower of Jesus because I believe that Jesus has shown us the way to be the why not people of God. Those who, understanding the realities and the vagaries of life and the hardships of life and the difficulties of the world and the troubles of the world, as folk used to say, understanding all of that, refuse to be mired and stuck in its mud, but instead would dare to dream of other possibilities and live life in the direction of God's dream and not the world's nightmare. Oh, some folks see things as they are and ask why. I dream things that never were and say why not. We who follow Jesus, we are the why not people of God. Oh, turn and take your neighbor. We follow Jesus. And we are the why not people of God. Now let me unpack this a little bit more because I think you'll begin to see how this fits in with Deacon Alexander. And the truth is, see, the church had to catch up with her. See, deaconesses at one time reflected a time when the church did not see fit to allow women to become deacons. And so there was an order of deaconesses, and these women served throughout the church, served nobly and honorably and well. And it was later in the history of the church in the 1970s, I believe, Bishop, that the church kind of caught up and realized that these women had served like deacons, and therefore the church must recognize them as deacons. And the church finally caught up with them. And Deaconess Alexander was, I believe, the first and only African-American deaconess. And she was ahead of her time. And the church finally caught up with her. Because Deaconess Alexander was somebody who did not simply cry, why? She dreamed things that the Episcopal Church had not even dreamed of and asked why not. And went on and did it anyway. Oh, I see where I'm going now. Yeah. See, she was a why not person of God. And she followed in the footsteps of Jesus, who moved beyond the whys of this world to the why not of God. Now stay with me. I'm coming to it. This isn't going to be long. I know y'all are real comfortable. It's not cold in here anymore. And see, what's going on here is Jesus, when he said, come unto me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What Jesus was really getting at, but let me say it this way. And I grew up in a city. I don't know a lot about farming. But what little bit I know about farming and technology is that the invention of the yoke was a significant scientific discovery. It was a significant discovery because it made for agriculture, it made it possible for human beings to harness the enormous power of oxen and large animals, and then to harness that power and energy, and to use that power and energy for the human good, to plow up the soil, to turn the soil, to do the work of agriculture, to make it possible to feed many people. They were able to take the enormous power of a great animal and transform it, kind of like Transformers, and transform it into an energy that could be used for the human good. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. My yoke in my teaching, which will show you how to take the enormous power of the love of God and channel it into your own life. My way that will help you take the enormous flow of the grace of God and transform it into something, an amazing grace in your own life. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. And you will move from simply crying, why, to daring to declare, why not? Y'all see where I'm going with this?
Oh, yeah. All right.
See, Deaconess Alexander, she understood what Jesus was talking about. And she understood that if you have the right yoke, then you can take what seems like impossible situations by harnessing the enormous power and love and energy and vitality and reality of the Lord God Almighty. You can transform a nightmare into a dream. Oh, help me somebody.
All right.
Oh, there's somebody who went to school and learned their ABCs, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, N, M, O, P. I can't go past that. Yeah, see. She understood that by making it possible for children to learn their ABCs, to learn their mathematics, to learn to exercise the mind, that they could somehow transform a nightmare into a dream. Take my yoke upon you. She got it. But even more than that, she understood that academic knowledge is important and it is necessary. And like my aunt Carrie used to tell us, when we were kids, they said, you need to get all the learning you can get. Right? And then she would add, because if it's in your head, nobody can take it away from you. And you see, Deaconess Alexander understood that one of the transformers that could transform a nightmare into dream was the yoke of education. The yoke of knowledge, that education is one of the keys to emancipation. Oh, that's why it's so good seeing these young folk here. Oh, it's so good. Oh, y'all been so good. but that wasn't enough. It's not just enough to educate the mind. She understood that mind and spirit got to go together. And she understood that the teachings of Jesus Christ, the way of Jesus Christ, the knowledge of God and of the things of God would help to steady the soul and the spirit and could guide the mind in what is right and what is good and what is noble. And by following the teachings of Jesus, she understood. That's why there's a church and a school.
All right.
It's not an accident. She understood what the yoke was. And that by the power of that yoke, you can transform a nightmare into a dream. But she did one other thing. And this was, I believe, an act of sheer spiritual genius. And this may be her gift to us. We live in some ambiguous, uncertain, complex, I'm going to just leave it there, time. That's just the reality. And, you know, I mean, Dickens was right to some extent. These are the best of times and the worst of times, which is the nature of all time. But we're in it now. And so we need to find some sources of hope when you don't feel that hope. We need to find some sources of love when you don't always see love around you. We need to find some capacity for justice when justice seems elusive. And we need to find the way to be why not people and not just why. And I think she showed us how to do it. It's fascinating to me that given the temper of her life and the times of her life, you don't find a lot of anger. You don't see anger in her writing. You see kindness. You see goodness. You see love. And I want to, when I get to heaven, I know that's presumptuous on my part, but when I get there, I want to say, Deaconess Alexander, how did you do it? I mean, how did you learn to love in a context when hatred was virulent? How did you love when your own church sometimes turned its back on you?
All right.
How did you love when the law of this great land of ours denied you? How did you love? And I got a few. I know what she's going to say. And I'm going to ask her when I see her. I don't want to say it anytime soon. But I know what she's going to say. She's going to go back to what Jesus said. Come unto me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden. I will give you rest. That's Jesus talking. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And with my yoke, trust in me, even when you cannot see. Trust in God, even when you can't feel him. Trust in him, even in the midst of the whirlwind. Trust in that God really is. Take that yoke upon you. And you'll take a why and turn it into a why not. Because as long as God is, even when you can't see it, even when you can't feel it, even when you may not be sure you really believe in it, as long as God is, and you know that, you can make it.
Amen.
I'm going to stop because I believe that's what she would have, that's her legacy to us now. There is a God. And this Jesus is for real. Even when you can't see him. I happen to like, anybody here watch Animal Planet? Y'all watch the Animal Planet? I love the Animal Planet. And, I love to watch about the animals because it's helpful because if you really want to understand people, watch animals. You kind of get it all there unvarnished. And I watch it all the time. And Sometimes when I'm traveling around the country, if I can find Discovery Channel or the Animal Planet, I'll kind of fish around till I find it and just kind of watch the animal show. And I'm always fascinated on how they're able to catch these animals on film and actually catch them doing what they just do naturally. This one particular show, this is a couple of years ago now, was kind of following a mother bear and her baby bears. And it was following them as the mother bear was training the baby bears and becoming adult bears or whatever it is. Anyway, and she was teaching the baby bears how to do what they're supposed to do in order to survive in life. She was sort of like Psalm 78 says, "Hear my teaching, O my people, pass on," this is in the Bible, "pass on my teaching to your children and your children's children." She was doing basically what Psalm 78 does for bears. And so anyway, so this is going on. The baby bears are having a good time. The mother's teaching them how to groom themselves and how to climb trees and how to look for different kinds of food to eat and how to run. And the baby bears would do everything their mama taught them. And then they would, of course, being baby bears, children bears, they would go out and play. You can see them wrestling and playing with each other. And all was going well until one of the bears, a little baby boy, decided he was going to go out on his own. And so he was just out having a good time, and the camera followed him, and he went galloping off like a little bear, just having a wonderful time. And all of a sudden, he kind of realized he didn't see Mama and Black anywhere nearby, and couldn't find Sister and Brother Bears. He was all by himself. Well, he just played a little bit more anyway, and then all of a sudden, he kind of stopped and realized he was in trouble. Because he looked, and there looking at him was a wolf. And the wolf looked and noticed that Mama Bear wasn't anywhere around. And Papa Bear, I don't know where Papa Bear is. Anyway, and Brother and Sister Bear were there to be found. And so the wolf just kind of smiled, and the baby bear knew he was in trouble. And the wolf just, you kind of see the wolf is participating. He said his grace. And so the wolf was just looking at the bear, and the wolf started coming toward the baby bear. And the baby bear, backed up. And the wolf took a step forward. Baby bear backed up. Wolf took a couple more steps. Baby bear said, "Oh Lord," and he took a little steps back. And then the baby bear backed up some more, and he backed up into a tree. And he realized he was in trouble now. And you could see the camera focused on the baby bear, and he's trying to figure out, what do I do? And it was kind of like, sometimes if you have a hard decision you got to make, or you're trying to figure out something, sometimes it's helpful to ask yourself, what would Jesus do? I mean, it may not give you all the answers, but at least it's a good start. Actually, you can answer that question. It's probably better than what you would have done otherwise. So anyway, it's worth a shot. So anyway, you can see the little baby bear's face, and he kind of did whatever the bear equivalent of what would Jesus do. And I guess for a baby bear, the question is, what would Mama Bear do? And you can see him kind of thinking this through, and the wolf was really getting ready to go get him. And the baby bear got up on his haunches, and he raised his paw, and he went, well, the wolf did exactly like y'all just did. He just thought that was a funny wolf lying on his back, rolling, that's like a good time. And so the baby bear said, well, I stalled a little while, let me try it again. And he went, and the wolf just continued to laugh and continued to laugh. And finally, the baby bear said, I got to do something. And so he got up one last time on his haunches, and he went, and the wolf stopped laughing, and he had a look of horror on his face. And then all of a sudden, he turned around and he ran away. The baby bear was thinking, wow. Y'all remember George Jefferson? I used to catch him and say, that was one of those kind of things. And the baby bear really didn't know what happened. And then all of a sudden, he turned around and he looked behind the tree. Was Mama. Deaconess Alexander understood that whether you can see or feel, Whether you know or don't know, behind the tree there is a mama bear. We got ourselves a God. Now, the old poet said, though the cause of evil prosper, yet his truth alone is strong. Though her portion be a scaffold, and upon the throne be wrong, yet the scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. When you know you've got a God, whether you can feel him or not, you can make it. When you know there is a God, history is not in control. Politics is not in control. The world is not in control. And you become not just the why people of God, but the why not. Some folks see things as they are and ask why. We, like Deaconess Alexander, follow Jesus and ask why not.
Amen.
Remember her. Follow her as she followed Jesus. And be the why not. God love you. God bless you. And God keep you. Amen.
Amen.